What's going on? My name is Joe. I practice talking on the internet. As usual, give me money. These conversations and brief videos are brought to you by the people who give me money on Patreon, because that's the only way this is a sustainable venture. And I'd also like to thank Jane, Marking, Maru, Frackle, Liberation, Valentine, and Michael for their contributions and making sure that I can pay my bills. I made a tweet. And it turns out we still have a lot of Jon Stewart stands in 2023. So what I want to do very briefly is lay out the critique that I have for Jon Stewart, my critique that I have for the work that he does, and hopefully give some recommendations where you can kind of expand your horizons and understanding why Jon Stewart is a problem, and a particular problem overall in media, and the problems that exist within media that create and perpetuate Jon Stewart's out there. Jon Stewart, as FD Signifier brought up in his tweet, which is the one that I retweeted that caused this little bit of a shitstorm, is that Jon Stewart and his show, he's just a debate bro. He's just a debate bro without the edgelord aesthetics. And for a lot of people, that's okay. My overall concern is that we spend too much time glorifying and golf clapping and cheering Jon Stewart when we need to have a more robust understanding of what's going on in media, and why, while Jon Stewart's work is good, it's a problem if that's the only thing we encourage and foster within communities. Make no mistake, like, the biggest thing that you really want to get into your head and really understand, and you want to rattle your brain until it understands it, and read books and a lot of books until you understand it, is that Jon Stewart is an activist, and his shows and his work is activism. Activism and organizing are not the same thing, and they move in different ways. Activism is the idea of speaking truth to power, and organizing is broadening one's ability or capacity to govern. Those two things need to exist within movements and within politics, but mass media currently prioritizes activism and the leader activist. And a lot of my critique is also informed from a book that I've revisited, which is Knocking the Hustle, which goes into very good detail about the sort of liberal turn of what the author describes as a liberal turn in Black politics, along with the limitations and issues that come with this new age of activism that we find ourselves in. Now, I want to make this as clear as I possibly can. What Jon Stewart is doing is fine. His show is fine. The stuff that John Oliver does is fine too. All of this is fine and can and should be allowed to exist. The issue at hand is when we start treating their work as organizing and think that their work alone is what leads to all the other things. And that's just not the case. It's bullshit. When you recognize that Jon Stewart's function in media is to speak truth to power, it then brings a question of, okay, how do we prioritize in mass media organizing and broadening one's capacity to govern within the realm of organization? And that is something that we do not at all herald in media. We just don't do that. And by the way, Armiosi Frimpong has a really good short video encapsulating a little bit of what I'm talking about here. And it's a good video that you should also watch alongside this one. They might go hand in hand with each other. He's way smarter than me and says things way better than me. But generally, the issue that we run into when we do have conversations about Jon Stewart and critiquing about what he does, we can't fall into the trap that, like, the way that Jon Stewart's doing things by himself is what's leading to all this other stuff. It's one part of a big apparatus and a big functioning apparatus. Organization and activism are codependent of each other. And right now, media would sort of teach you that they are independent of each other, where you can do activism within a movement, and then there's the organizing part, and these two things are separate from each other, and they have and all this other sort of liberal bullshit. But in reality, you need both happening at the same time, because you need the Jon Stewarts in the effort to push politicians towards the VCF, but you also need all the work behind those fancy words. And hopefully, if I'm doing a good job with editing, I'm going to put the blurb up here right now about the limitations of the prophetic leader within activism. And hopefully you can give that a quick read. You can pause the video, read that, because that's a perfect spot in the book that encapsulates the very problem of activism as we currently have it. There's value in media bringing light to issues and speaking truth to issues, the activism that exists within that. But there's a whole level of work behind that broadens people's capacity to govern. Organization, organizing is an institution, and we have to recognize that because it's an institution, there's settled habits of thought and action around that. There's settled habits of thought and action around organizing, and that's what we have to produce and mass produce. We have to mass produce the work. We have to mass produce the work, make the work sexy, and make it something that people want to do. We need more people who want to do the work as organizing than being debate bros. Like, we need more organizers and people and workers. We need more of that. And we need content and media that memorializes that and says that this is something that is of value and it's something that anybody can do. Because right now we get situations where people will, I mentioned this in the tweet thread, if you want to take a look at that on my Twitter, like, we have a mass media that puts Jon Stewart on a pedestal without recognizing that there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people behind Jon Stewart that are doing the actual work, the actual organizing, the actual broadening of one's ability to govern. And he's just the nigga running defense. Like, he's just like, his only job is to put that shield up so that all those other people can do work. His job, again, is to put the shield up, put the sword up, and fight all these people in the front lines while there's other people working around in other areas. He's kind of like, if you had to make like a superhero analogy, he's like, if you saw Ant-Man, Quantumania, Jon Stewart is, spoilers by the way, but at this point, like, it's not even in theaters anymore, so I don't know how you're gonna watch this movie. But Jon Stewart is Ant-Man in the last scene, where he's just marching through, stomping while there's all these people on the bottom fighting for the revolution. Ant-Man is the giant distraction as there's other people on the ground doing all of the work. That's like, again, like, John's doing like, John's doing like punching buildings out of the way. He's making sure that Kang is distracted, but he's not he's doing all this stuff, and even in the end of that film, like, Ant-Man doesn't do shit. It's fucking Hank Pym who does all the heavy lifting with the fucking ants that really get it towards the end to the final goal. But even with Hank Pym, he's just one character doing the work necessary for the revolution to move forward. And we have to start prioritizing the work. We have to start prioritizing the little worker ants and all the other soldiers, instead of like looking at Ant-Man stomping, punching buildings and golf clapping like that's all there is to it. And there's even and again, that final scene is really good because it reveals that, like, even in the face of watching Ant-Man like do all this stuff, it emboldens everybody else to move and go. Because that's Jon Stewart's job. Jon Stewart's job is to run defense and be a big distraction. But the problem is we can't be distracted over or around the viral media and the viral, like, TikToks, viral tweets, viral Facebook posts of these activists. And their prophetic language and their nice structured words and their calm but assertive demeanors. We have to deprioritize that within our media consumption and prioritize mass media that's around organizing, around the institution that is organization. And I think we'll be better off doing that, because right now we're in a stage where we think that Jon Stewart's activism is organizing, and that's not good. It's not good at all. It's going to lead to so many problems, and not even problems. It kind of ties into one of my first videos I did about poor political diets. It's going to make it seem like, oh, you know, the way that I can be doing the good is by being the debate bro, like being the person who's well read and well researched, that's going out there, that's proving to people that they're stupid and proving that the way they're going about is not the way. Like, and again, there's a value in that. Like, there's value in debate bros. There's value in people who are able to speak truth into power. There's power and value in activism. But if we're only prioritizing activism within our media and our mass media broadly, then we're just down a road where we're going to just like over prioritize and overvalue liberalism and like the foe of centrism, and we're never going to get anything done. Yeah. Like, and while we can, and there's nothing wrong with watching Jon Stewart, enjoying the content, watching John Oliver, enjoying the content, we have to know that there's more that needs to be done and organizing that needs to be done towards the very issues that he has shows for, and making and memorializing the work behind these things, behind these issues. There's activism towards issues and there's organizing towards issues. Right now, we have a prioritization of activism and a deprioritization of organizing in our mass media. And that's all that tweet was about. I'll link the book if you want it. It's like $6 on Amazon. I know some of you might feel a weird way about Amazon. You can also get it at the library. There's a bunch of places that you can get it if you want to do that, but I'll put like an Amazon link down below if there's something that interests you. The Army video will be down there as well. It paraphrases and probably does a little bit better job of articulating what I'm talking about here, but these two issues are kind of related to each other. It's just kind of in my own words. But yeah, that's all I got. Take care.